is going on, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday edition of the Stochastic NHL Strategy Show. I'm your host, Josh Harris. Got a nice little 10-gamer here. Snowy day in my neck of the woods. You just said it started snowing in your neck of the woods. It's going to get dark soon. Hate that for us. But yeah, no, decent little 10-gamer here. Not really little, but I'm used to breaking down 14, 15 game slates. Got the Avs in a smash spot. That's a decision there. We got some interesting chalk on this slate. Sharks did the thing last night. Utah was a bust. Tyler Toffoli, not on power play one, put up a 40 burger. That was kind of unfortunate. Like, Will Smith had a great game, but I think to win any substantial money, you needed a full San Jose one. Can't hit the nuts if you don't play here tonight, and helping me to break down some Cliffy. What's going on?
Yeah. Nice little 10-gamer. We were talking before the show. I played a 3-2-1 stack last night, and my 2 stack was Celebrini plus Smith. I left off Toffoli. That was not a very good decision on my part. Interesting Columbus, New Jersey game last night. There was a hockey game in between UFC fights. Brendan Dillon looked knocked out anyways as he hit the ice in his 1,000th game. That's not how you want to celebrate that. Our Ducks took care of business. They looked really good last night. Pavel Mintyukov and Nolan Zellweger. I know like Gauthier and Carlson and Lacombe to an extent, Dostal, like those guys are really kind of carrying the team to an extent, but Zellweger and Mintyukov, those look really, really good. Mintyukov, especially over like the last few weeks. Hopefully you can keep that up. But that was last night. Tonight is tonight. We do have a 10-game slate. As you mentioned, Colorado in a very, very good spot at home against Vancouver. We've got a Montreal-Ottawa bad blood matchup. The Sens are dressing Curtis McDermott in case anything goes wrong. I mean, we'll see what happens. Sometimes it always seems like these types of rivalry games where there might be some payback or punishment or whatever on the ice, it always seems to never happen like right away. Maybe it'll be like February or March or something, and like we're not expecting it, and all of a sudden there's like 12 misconducts handed out or whatever. But interesting Montreal Ottawa matchup. We've got Minnesota, Edmonton a little bit later. We got Vegas in a pretty good spot at home. There's a lot of good spots. There's some pretty crazy chalk. Some of the usual suspects. I think we can kind of cross them off, but we'll get to those as we get through the slate.
Yeah, I mean, Arbor Jackeye has not met a face he didn't want to punch. So, like, there could be a few tilts in that game. But, yeah. We should get into this slate. It is 10 games. It's not 5 like yesterday. Let's start it off with another original 6 matchup. I wish they got conceded to somewhere in Antarctica, but Boston Bruins with a 2.6 total heading into Detroit. The Red Wings have a 3.4. Pastrnak still out. Boston going Geeky, Lindholm, Steves, Zacha, Arvidsson, Middlestat. Detroit going Larkin, Raymond, Finney, DeBrincat, Kane, Kopp. I'll start on the Detroit side because at least it's a little bit more interesting. There is a lot of ownership. There is 9.3% on the Larkin line and 12% on the Kopp line. Like, I get wanting to play DeBrincat and Kane because they're both on the top power play, but, like, do I really want to play Andrew Kopp? It's like, do I want to play Andrew Kopp against the Bruins, or do I want to play Brett Howden against the Blackhawks? And since good things happen in threes, we could say, do you want to play David Kampf against the Avs? I don't really want to do any of those. I would go Detroit 1 here. They've been fine with Emmett Finney up there. I understand that's a good power play matchup. It is a fairly good total here. Geeky and Lindholm have as good as defensive numbers as you can imagine. And by good, I mean truly awful. So, Detroit has a really big total here. So if you do want to leave Finney off, you can go to Kane here. That would make the stack 20,200. If you go to DeBrincat, then you're looking at like 22 and change. And then you're like, at that point, I'm just going to go play the Avs. What you could do is just full send a power play stack. If you do really want to get Kane and DeBrincat in, I don't want a full stack Cop, Kane, DeBrincat. Most likely for me, though, I would either just leave Detroit 1 because it's a really good 5-on-5 matchup, or I would leave off Finney and add in Kane or DeBrincat, depending on your price preference. So Detroit 1, Detroit power play. On the Boston side, listen, Morgan Geeky leads the NHL in goals, or at least he did when he scored his 20th. He's also shooting 631%. Whether that's sustainable or not, he shot a high percentage last year too. You want to play Geeky, I guess that's fine. Like one-off Geeky at 6,600 seems a little bit like, I don't know, like you probably should do that with a CAT scan scheduled for tomorrow. But like, I guess a one-off Geeky is fine. That's where I'd be on the Boston side. I guess if like you're power play stacking the Avs and you want a 2-man of Zaka middle stat for power play, that's like 7,200 for the two of them. Like go fill your boots, but really like I'm not into Boston here. This is Detroit 1, Detroit power play game for me.
Yeah, I am not in on the Bruins here. Geeky at 6,600. Like if Pasternak was in, I would say maybe. At 6,600, he needs more than just a goal. He needs at least a goal and an assist, or a goal and a shot bonus. He needs those, or like 2 assists and a shot bonus, like those types of things. He needs a multi-point night to pay that off. Like maybe he can do it. It is a Detroit Red Wings. It's not like we haven't seen Detroit just completely fall on their faces many times in very good spots over the years, but count me out on the Bruins. Question is what to do with Detroit, because this is one of the better power play spots on the board. And that's because of Boston's penalty penchant. On the season, Boston is at 3.9 times shorthanded per game on the season. The next closest team is at 3.5. So over 10% more penalties than the next closest team. Over the last 5 weeks, it hasn't gotten any better. They're still at 3.9 times shorthanded per game, most in the league. And the Red Wings are pretty good at drawing penalties, around the top 10 for the season as a whole, 6th over the last 5 weeks. So they're getting even better as the season wears on. They could get 3, 4, 5, 6 power plays here tonight. And, that Detroit top power play unit, 10.9 goals per 60. It's not elite, but it's really good. And if Boston can't stay out of the penalty box, their last hope is their goaltending. Now, that's kind of the key here. It's the Boston goaltending that's kind of kept them, in and around the playoff race. Like over the last 15 games, at least according to Natural Stat Trick, Boston is dead last in the league by expected goals against per minute. A lot of that is because they spend so much time shorthanded, but worse than Vancouver, Toronto, San Jose, like worse than all those teams. So this is a very, very good spot for Detroit. I do like Detroit 1. Looked over their, I think it's 7 games since they've been reunited. 68 shot attempts, 2.8 goals per 60. Raymond around 20 minutes, Larkin around 22. Even Finney's playing around 17 minutes. So I'm fine with just playing Detroit 1 here. Sub 10% ownership, top 2 stack over 11%. It's a good matchup. At 5-on-5, it's a great matchup on the power play. I agree with you. If you want to take out Finney, put in Kane for some more power play exposure. Like Patrick Kane has 30 shots and 9 points in his last 10 games at 5,700, I think, on DraftKings. Just adding him in and making the stack around 20K is perfectly fine because there are lots of filler stacks you can use here tonight. But for me, it's Detroit 1/Detroit power play with no interest in Boston.
Yeah. Sometimes you need to frame it in the fantasy world to show how good Swayman's been this season. if you are playing best puck on underdog, he is the number one goalie in terms of fantasy points so far this season on a bad Boston Bruins team. And it's not like particularly close either. I think like second place is like 20 points behind him. He's been insane this season. Ottawa Sens with a 3.1 total heading into Montreal. Canadiens have a 3 total. Ottawa going Stützle, Tkachuk, Zetterlund, Cousins, Batherson, Perron, Amadio, Pinto, Giroux. Montreal going Caulfield, Suzuki, Bolduc, Demidov, Slavkovsky, Kapanen. So if you're looking in the top stacks, we have Cousins and Stützle backwards here. Also Perron on the second line instead of Eller. That will get updated when Jake runs the next update. But that top line is 16,800. It is a pretty good 5-on-5 matchup. Now, we were talking about the Suzuki line before the game or before the show about how they don't have great defensive numbers in a small sample, but in that small sample, they faced a gauntlet of powerhouses in the West. So you kind of have to take it for a grain of salt. And let's be honest, like, yes, Stützle and Tkachuk are their best offensive players, and I'm a Fabian Zetterlund guy. He hasn't had a great season, but, you know, their numbers are okay. I think it's fine. But, like, if I'm attacking the Montreal Canadiens at 5-on-5, I want to avoid Suzuki because after that, there's nothing there. For me, I'm going to the third line of Pinto, Giroux, Amadio at 11K. Pinto practiced today on the top power play unit. So you get him on the top power play unit, him and Giroux and Amadio in 175 minutes, 2.9 expected goals, 3.7 actual. Whether they get the Kapanen line or the Jake Evans line, it doesn't matter. Like, obviously, facing Jake Evans, Alex Texier, and Josh Anderson would be better, but, like, they're going to see both. You know what I mean? And the third pair for Montreal, not great. So I do like Pinto, Giroux, Amadio here. If you do want a power play stack, because Montreal's been taking an absolute truckload of penalties recently, I think power play stacking is fine. You can go, you know, Stützle, Tkachuk, Pinto, Stützle, Tkachuk, Batherson, something like that. Make it a power play stack. But if I'm 5-on-5 stacking, I think I'm going to that third line of Pinto, Giroux, Amadio as a filler. I don't mind Tkachuk, Stützle, Zetterlund at 16.8. You obviously can't fit them with, you know, certain expensive lines, but as a mid-price stack, I honestly don't mind them. I want to see what the ownership looks like when we get the Ottawa update, but, you know, I don't mind them. They're not my favorite, but they're not something I'm just going to X out. On the Montreal side, I do like Montreal 1, just from the sheer fact that they're fully correlated on the power play. They're also 16,800. It's not like they were up in the 18Ks for a bit there. They have a 3 total. Ottawa's penalty kill is bad. They're a good 5-on-5 team. So from that standpoint, it's not a great matchup, but they are fully correlated on the power play. They play, you know, Suzuki and Caulfield play heavy minutes. Bolduc will get his, but he'll also get top power play time. So on the Montreal side, it's easily Montreal 1. You want to do like a Slavkovsky one-off, a Demidov one-off. I think that's fine. On the Ottawa side, Ottawa power play, favorite 5-on-5 line is the Pinto line, though.
Yeah, I agree with that Pinto line just because they are, you know, at 11K with Pinto on the top power play unit, and they get good minutes, right? I was looking over the last couple of games since Tkachuk came back. Like at the low end, Amadio around 15, like Giroux around 17, Pinto around 20 minutes in across their last 2 games after Tkachuk's return. So, like, I know they're listed as the third line. They're basically the second line at this point, and there are going to be some nights where they're actually going to have the most ice time of any of Ottawa's lines. So at 11K with Pinto on the top power play, I think they're a filler stack you can use here. Montreal's depth, like they're like with all the with Kirby Dach out, with, you know, Alex Newhook out, they just don't have the center depth to make it up past Suzuki. So it's a pretty good 5-on-5 spot for that Ottawa third line. I do like them. I agree. Like, if you want to take out, turn it into a power play stack, do Stützle, Tkachuk, Pinto, that's only 18,600. Like, that's pretty reasonable for a matchup where, as you mentioned, Montreal taking a lot of penalties, third most time shorthanded per game in the league over the last 5 weeks, seventh most overall this season. So I don't mind, taking out Zetterlund, putting in Pinto, make that stack 18,600. If you want to just leave in Zetterlund and then add Pinto to it, just because Zetterlund is 3,100, he doesn't need a big night to pay off, an assist and a couple shots, and you're perfectly fine. So I do like the Ottawa side a bit more here, just because I think it's a better power play spot for them. By the same token, like that Montreal top line, like as you mentioned, it's their last 5 games, Montreal played Toronto, which, okay, like they should win. They're at the point where they should just beat the Leafs regularly, and they did. Their other 4 games were Washington, Utah, Vegas, Colorado. Like, that's like 4 of the top 6 teams in the league. So pretty, Montreal's not at that level yet. It was a pretty brutal gauntlet. I'm assuming their offensive numbers will get better as they wear on. I think Montreal won at 16,800 is perfectly fine. It's a brutal 5-on-5 matchup for them, but the Ottawa penalty kill has been very not great this year. I don't mind Montreal 1. The problem is, like, when you have 20 teams on the board and it's a terrible 5-on-5 matchup, like Ottawa over the last 15 games, Ottawa quite literally the best expected goals against per 60 minutes in the NHL. Shots against, I think they're top 5. So, like, this is a very bad 5-on-5 matchup for Montreal. You're hoping they get it done on the power play, maybe add an empty netter. That's why I'm not so high on the Habs here. For me, this is an Ottawa game. I agree with you. It's the Pinto line at 5-on-5, but I do like the idea of taking out Zetterlund, putting Pinto with Stützle and Tkachuk and turning into more of a power play stack.
Yeah, if you need a montage of how bad the Senators' penalty kill is, just go watch the third period of the Stars game on Sunday. Absolute brutal scenes. Tampa Bay Lightning with a 3.1 total heading into Long Island. Nobody loves that. The Islanders have a 2.8. Tampa going Kucherov, Hagel, Cirelli, Gensel, Paul, Bjorkstrand. Islanders going Horvat, Heineman, Shabanov, Barzell, Lee, Drouin. So Tampa 1 has the second highest top 2 stack of the night, 13.7%, 7.6% projected ownership. This is a very good matchup against the Islanders here, both at 5-on-5 and on the power play. And yeah, Kucherov plays the full 2 minutes, so technically that top line is fully correlated. If I'm not spending up for Colorado, the spend up spot for me is Tampa 1 here. Like, I'm not concerned about any matchup. Even though Hagel and Cirelli don't get quote-unquote top power play time, they play heavy minutes. Hagel's been consistently 19, 20, 21. Kucherov's going to get his in 90 minutes. They have been unbelievably high event. And that spells bad news for the Islanders. I know Sorokin has been better of late, but listen, you got a Kucherov line under 20K that has ridiculous numbers in the 90-minute sample. Count me in. Technically, the second line of Gensel, Paul, Bjorkstrand at 13.9 is fully correlated, but we're kind of in that scenario. It's like I don't really want to play them without Kucherov. So, like, I guess you could do it and add Kucherov, and then you'd be looking at a 22,100 4-man stack. You add in Radish, it's like 27K. It's basically the same price of Colorado 1 plus a min-price guy. So, like, I honestly don't hate that, but really, like, I have a hard time fading Tampa 1 completely here just because of the minutes in the matchup at 5-on-5. So Tampa 1 for me. You want to do something with the power play, go for it. On the Islanders side, It's like both of these top two lines have two guys on the top power play unit. You get Horvat and Shabanov. You get Barzal and Lee. 9% on the Barzal line is just going to be a absolute no for me, dog. Like, I'm not playing Islanders chalk against Tampa Bay. Like, Vasilevsky has been incredible this season. They have a good penalty kill. They're not super great at 5-on-5, but like none of these lines are like Barzal and Lee have been good together in a smallish sample, but like at almost 10%, I'm taking a pass. I guess by default, I would go to Horvat, Shabanov, Heineman just because they're 12-8. They are coming in 3 or like 2.5x their top two, which is more of a fade for me as well. But, you know, they're priced as a filler, so I just go to the cheaper line there. But really, I don't have a ton of interest in Islanders. I think a one-off Barzal is fine, a one-off Shabanov, something like that. But for me, it's Tampa power play.
Yeah. For me on the Islanders side, part of it is why I don't mind the Lee Barzal Drouin line in a nutshell. 68 shot attempts, 4 expected goals per 60. Like, Lee's been even getting like around 18 minutes a game lately as some of the injuries have piled up and they have to lean more on the top 6. And like, of course, Drouin and Barzal play a lot more than that. For me, it's just kind of awkward pricing. Like, because that Barzal line's 14,200 and it's like, I don't know, maybe you pair them with like Ottawa or Detroit or something like that, but they're not quite a filler, but they're not quite a mid-price stack. Their ownership is nearly 2x their top 2 stack. As a general rule, I don't play chalk Islanders. I never really have. It's not a good power play spot for them. The Islanders power play hasn't been good lately anyway. And listen, Tampa has been on quite the little tear. Over the last 20 games, Tampa's 4th by goals against per minute. It's a pretty bad matchup. So you want me to play chalk Islanders in a bad matchup on a 10-game slate? Like, it's just a whole bunch of check marks in the no column. So, like you said, I think Maxim Shabanov under 3K, top line, top power play. Like, that's one of those, like, if you're playing a 3-2-1, like, he can be the one for a punt winger. Like, I think that's fine. Like, those types of things, but I'm not full stacking. My interest is on the Tampa side, and I think you kind of hit it right with Gensel, Paul, and Bjorkstrand. It's like, do I play that line without Kucherov? It's like, probably not. And then, you know, you add in Kucherov, that line's 22,200. Well, if you play the top line and add in Bjorkstrand, it's 22,800, and you get a way better 5-on-5 line for basically the same price. So by default, I guess I'm in on Tampa 1. Like you mentioned how good those top line numbers are. 83 shot attempts per 60 in their 90 minutes together. They've been blowing out teams so bad, they're not even getting a ton of minutes. Like, they've been playing 17 or 19 minutes in their last 5 games because every game's like 4-1, 5-1, 6-2, or like things like that. So like, you know, Brandon Hagel, I looked over his last 18 games. I think he went back-to-back games without a shot or something like that. And in the 18 games since, 3.3 shots per game with 26 points. Like, he's just been on a heater for weeks now. Under 20K, you want to add in Bjorkstrand for additional power play time. I think that's fine. The Islanders penalty kill has been getting better, but it's all the goaltending. It's a 918 penalty kill save percentage over the last 5 weeks. A lot of their metrics are still at or near the bottom of the league. So good power play spot. Kucherov is doing that thing where he's playing both halves of the power play. So even though Hagel and Cirelli are, quote, second power play unit guys, this is still a perfectly correlated line. So I really do like Tampa 1 here. 19,800, 13.7% top 2 stack. One of my favorite lines on the board. Maybe some one-offs from the Islanders. That's about it.
Dallas Stars 2.9 total heading into Madison Square Garden. The Rangers have a 2.6. Adam Fox, long-term IR. Rangers going Panarin, Zibanejad, Lafreniere, Trocheck, Miller, Brodzinski, Cooley, Laba, Berard. Dallas going Mikko Rantanen, Johnston, Benn, Robertson, Hintz, Sagan. So if the Rangers lost Artemi Panarin, their offense would be atrocious. If they lost Igor Shesterkin, they would be terrible. Losing Adam Fox is going to kill them on both ends of the ice. I don't like the Adam Fox haters are going to learn just how important Adam Fox is.
I was thinking the same thing. Like everybody's saying how overrated he is, not a great defenseman. Well, I can't wait to watch the next 6 weeks of Rangers hockey.
It's like he missed 10 games the other season and their offense was fine. But most of that was on the power play with Eric Gustafsson, and his like one strength was a power play quarterback. They don't have that, so they're going to a 5-forward power play here. Like Adam Fox, legit top 5 NHL D-men in the league, and if you disagree with that, go look at the numbers and then call me a homer if you still don't believe me. So, like, I don't really want to stack the Rangers here. Like, Gavrikov is a nice defenseman, don't get me wrong, but you know, Braden Schneider gets the first crack on the top pair. I'm a Schneider guy, but he's had a terrible season. They don't have puck movers here. Their best puck movers on the third pair with Matt Robertson and Scott Morrow, he's been, you know, rough this season as well. So, you know, if you do really want to play Rangers here, it'd probably be one-offs, and it would probably be like a one-off Will Cooley because he's on the third line and they're going to avoid, you know, the Haskin and Lindell pairing, and with the injury to Leon Bichelle, like who is even there? Will Cooley can generate offense by himself with Laba. So if anything on the Rangers side, it's Laba Cooley. But listen, I am not having Rangers in my single entry lineup here tonight. On the Dallas side, it's like losing Leon Bichelle won't really kill them defensively, but he's a pretty good puck mover. And it's like when Heiskanen's off the ice now, who the hell is moving the puck? So like, I guess it would be a Hintz, Robertson, Sagan, because they'll see like decent time with Heiskanen, but at the same time, they're 19,400. And that Tampa line we just talked about is $300 more. So it's like, I guess Dallas is now MME only. And it's like, yes, the Rangers' penalty kill is bad, but they don't take a ton of penalties. So I don't really want to power play stack Dallas here. So this game is MME only for me.
Yeah. As you mentioned, it'll be really interesting to see how the next few weeks go for the Rangers. I have my suspicions of how it's going to go, but I guess we're going to see how it plays out. Like right off the hop, I just don't have a ton of interest in the Rangers overall, you know, in this matchup. It's not like it's a terrible matchup, I don't think. But without Fox, like you said, I don't know how many guys or how well they're going to be able to move the puck. So I'm just kind of out on New York in general here tonight. Anybody wants, like, I think the third line, like a Laba Cooley 2-man or something like that is okay, but that's about it for me. You know, I was just looking at the numbers for the Rangers with Fox on and off the ice this year. 46.5% expected goal share, 48% goal share at 5-on-5. Just to kind of give an idea of where that is, the Rangers are currently a 54% overall team and 48% when Fox is off the ice. So he is well over 60% himself. Good luck with all that. It is a good power play matchup in a sense for Dallas, just because the Rangers penalty kill just hasn't been very good. The problem is like the Rangers just don't take a ton of penalties. If you look over the last, if you look over the course of the season, the Rangers are 22nd by time shorthanded per game. That's been getting worse as the season's gone on. They've started taking more penalties, and we know how good the Dallas power play has been. You know, you get two guys on each power play unit from each of the lines. I don't mind Robertson, Hintz, Sagan here. That line, 2.7 expected goals per 60. I wouldn't mind just leaving off Seguin and two-manning Robertson and Hintz. Tyler Seguin has 15 shots on goal in his last 15 games, like 1 shot per game over the last 5 weeks or whatever. Hasn't really been doing a whole lot. I don't mind Robertson, Hintz, Seguin, but listen, when you have, Detroit going up against Boston, the Detroit top line is over $1,000 cheaper. Mentioned that Ottawa stack that is $800 cheaper. We just went over the Tampa Bay top line, which is right around the same price range. I do think there are other spots, so I'm kind of with you. I don't mind, if you want a one-off Jason Robertson because of his shot volume or something like that. I think that's fine, but for me, I guess it's Rangers 3 what I like best in this game. But this game was a 5.5 total. Neither team with the 3 implied total. I'm not rushing out to play either side here.
Yeah, me either. I'm not rushing to watch this game either. Toronto Maple Leafs, speaking of not watching, the Leafs have a 2.9 total heading into Sunrise, Florida. The Panthers have a 3.5 total, third highest total on the board. Florida going Marchand, Lundell, Samoskevich, Verhaeghe, Bennett, Greer, Reinhart, Rodriguez, Bachwist. Leafs are going Matthews, Nyes, Domi, Nylander, Tavares, Cowan. This is a good power play matchup for the Panthers. This is a good 5-on-5 matchup for the Panthers. If we're talking about 14K lines, Marchand, Lundell, Samoskevich falls into that basket at 14.9, 6.5% top 2, 9.3% projected ownership. I would much rather play this Florida line than the Islanders' second line at the same ownership. Like, it's not generally close. Now, they're going to go out a fair bit against that Matthews line. And a Matthews-Domi line is as good as you expect defensively. And by good, they are atrocious. So bad. It's not like the Lundell, Marchand, Samoskevich line has been good defensively either, but at least they've been decent enough offensively. Like, if you want to play them, that's fine at 9%. I think I'm going to go down to Bennett, Verhaeghe, Greer. You get Verhaeghe on the top power play unit. Bennett's been shooting the puck a bunch, and they're going to see middle 6 matchups or bottom 6 matchups for the Leafs, and, there's nothing there. So, maybe Nick Roy makes it a little bit better, but, that line has been good at both ends of the ice. AJ Greer throwing saucy passes all over the place. But, that line in 70 minutes, 3 expected goals for, 7 actual. They are shooting the lights out, but, I don't mind it in this matchup. It is probably going to be Joe Woll, and he can only do so much. He's been great recently, but, we'll see if he can keep it up. I'm fine with Florida 1 here. I think you can go to the Bennett Verhaeghe line. You want to make it a power play stack with that top line. Go Lundell, Marchand, Verhaeghe, Lundell, Marchand, Reinhart. He's expected to play even though he missed practice. So I do really like Florida here, and there's a bunch of ways you can go about it. On the Leaf side, I guess it would be Tavares, Nylander, Cowan at 18.7, but at that price, I'm just going to play Tampa. So, you want to play Matthews, Nyes, Domi at 17.7 because that Lundell line has been bad defensively. I guess, but they can't, this Matthews line in a few games can't even possess the puck. That's how bad they've been. So I'm really not interested in the Leafs here. I understand you can get a one-off Matthews for low ownership, and I think that's fine. You want to see him kick it back old school, cool. But for me, this is a Florida game.
Yeah, I wonder how long Domi's going to last on the top line for one. I mean, maybe a full game.
Who are they moving up though? It's McMahon.
I mean, I guess they tried with Robertson and it didn't really work out. They tried with, I think, Calle Yarncroc. That went about as expected. I assumed Dakota Joshua is going to get a spin up there eventually. Anyways, Yeah, out on Toronto 1. Toronto 2 is kind of interesting in this sense. They're perfectly correlated, right? I'll plug my newsletter here. Today in my newsletter, I wrote about Easton Cowan and how good he's been for Toronto to start the season. Driving play at both ends. He has one of the highest zone entry rates in the NHL. Like, not amongst rookies, not amongst Toronto Maple Leafs. In the NHL, like, I'm talking Jack Eichel, Connor McDavid territory. Now, listen, he's only played, I think, 17 games or whatever. Let's see what it looks like after 67 games. But he's been pretty good for them. And, John Tavares certainly been very productive this year. So is Nylander. That line hasn't been great together, but at least 2.7 expected goals per 60, perfectly correlated, all playing between like 18 and 21 minutes. Getting the secondary matchups, like the second and third pairs, the Lundell line, which has not been good defensively. Like, I do think there are reasons, Florida takes a ton of penalties. There are reasons to play that Toronto second line. I don't really dislike the matchup for them. 18,700. Like, I think they're a pivot away from like Detroit, because I think Detroit's probably going to hit double-digit ownership. Detroit won. I think they're a pivot away from Detroit if you want like 2, 3, 4% ownership here. The way Austin Matthews is playing, he's not in the territory for me with Kucherov, where it's like, do I want to leave him off the stack? It's like, I kind of want to leave him off the stack. You know what I mean? Especially at his price. So I think Toronto 2 is fine. I actually don't mind. Like, if I was 20 maxing tonight, I would probably have one of them in my mix, because you don't really need a lot. In the single entry, I'm probably still going to play Detroit. I think, certainly Ottawa with that putting Pinto on the top line over Zetterlund is firmly in play. Those are stacks that I would rather use, but I don't hate Toronto 2 here tonight. But for me, this is a Florida game. Speaking of stacks between 18 and 19K, if you want to do Lundell, Marchand, Reinhart, 18,700. And Florida's drawing a lot of power plays, 3.4 per game over the last 5 weeks. It is the 4th highest rate in the league. Now that they, weeks ago, they got away from the 3-4-2 defenseman setup, went to the 4-4-1 defenseman setup on the top power play unit. And you're not going to believe this, but the power play got a lot better. Anyways, the Florida top power play, 127 shot attempts, 11.5 expected goals, 11.9 actual goals per 60 on the power play under this new 4-forward, 1 defenseman setup with Verhaeghe instead of Ekblad. Like, it's not quite like super elite, but it's at the top of the tier below. This is a very, very good power play spot against a very bad Leafs penalty kill. Florida's basically in the Detroit spot here tonight, where this is a really good matchup at 5-on-5. It's a really good matchup for the power play. It's just a matter of, for Boston, it's Jeremy Swayman. For Toronto, it's Joseph Woll, because you mentioned Woll, 914 save percentage in his 6 games since returning. He can keep the Leafs in this. If he doesn't keep the Leafs in this, this could be a very good night for the Florida Panthers. So Florida 1 is easily my favorite line in this game. I think Toronto 2 is in play if you're 20 maxing and above. I kind of like going like Lundell, Marchand, Reinhart here.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. Calgary Flames with a 2.7 total. Heading into Nashville, the Preds have a 2.9. Nashville going O'Reilly, Stamkos, Evangelista. Forsberg, I think Marchessault is a game-time decision. He practiced yesterday with the team, so I would imagine he's going to play. So Forsberg, Marchessault, Haula. Calgary going Frost, Huberdeau, Coronado, Kadri, Farabee, Sharon Govich. I don't have any interest in full stacking Nashville here. This is a bigger slate than the other one. I got burned badly on that one. I will say I don't mind like an Evangelista one-off. He has been very, very good. Relatively speaking, Predator's good. But he is cheap enough. He's 3,600. Doing one of those 3-2-1 builds. I don't mind. Luke Evangelista, Forsberg one-off, I guess. But really, I don't want to full stack anything. it's kind of a similar. Well, first of all, it's a really bad 5-on-5 matchup. It's like a pretty good power play matchup. Whoever starts for the Flames has been pretty good this season.
I think it's Devin Cooley getting the start, I believe.
Yeah, and you saw the Flames. Was it Sunday? They held the Hurricanes to their lowest shot total in franchise history, which includes the Whalers, which is pretty crazy. So
and the Flames lost.
Yeah, 1-0 in overtime. So yeah, went off Evangelista. That's really it. I don't have a ton of interest here in Calgary. Back on Coleman Zari at 9,400, coming in at 5%. Meh. I think if anything, it would be Kadri, Farabee, Sharangovich. But I'm really not running out to play either side of this game.
Yeah, chalk Nashville Predators. It's like chalk Islanders. It's when I see it, I usually just put a giant red X through it and just move along. This is not a good 5-on-5 matchup, as you mentioned. I was looking over the last 15 games for each team in the league. Calgary, 4th lowest expected goals against per 60 in the NHL at 5-on-5, 5th lowest actual shot attempts against per 60 at 5-on-5, just outside the top 10 by goals against, because Dustin Wolf's had a couple rough games in there, but it's not Dustin Wolf tonight. It's Devin Cooley. Where you can get to Calgary is on the penalty kill. I don't know if anybody's watched Nashville's power play this year, but it's one of those things, it's not a good power play matchup for Nashville. It's a good penalty kill matchup for the Flames. You know what I mean? Especially with, Nashville had been running the 3-4-2 defenseman setup. I imagine with Marchessault back, they're going to go to 4-4-1 defenseman. If you want a one-off, a Philip Forsberg is always in play for me as a one-off. Like you said, if you wanted a one-off Luke Evangelista, I think that's okay. I'm not on a 10-game slate. I'm not playing chalk Nashville Predators, super chalk Nashville Predators. So that's just something I've avoided doing for quite a while, and it's usually paid off. So out on Nashville. On the Calgary side, it's kind of interesting because this is both it's another one of those, is this a good power play matchup for the Flames or a good penalty kill matchup for Nashville? Because the Nashville penalty kill has not been good at all over the last 5 weeks, basically since the end of October. A lot of it is related to goaltending, but if your goaltenders can't stop the puck, then it doesn't really matter. But Calgary can't score either. 5.7 goals per 60 with Rasmus Andersson running the top power play unit. That's just really bad power play stuff. That's last year's Islanders Flyers territory. So it's not really a great power play matchup for the Flames. I guess I would probably go to Coronado, Huberdeau, Frost, just get that power play correlation. And they have been good at 5-on-5 this year, 3.4 goals, expected goals per 60, 74 shot attempts per 60. Matt Coronado, 54 shots in his last 13 games. That's over 4 shots per game. Even if you take out the 11-shot game, he's still over 3.5 shots per game in his last 12. So, perfectly correlated, getting decent minutes, 13,100. I don't mind Coronado, Huberdeau, Frost here. If you want to play the Kadri line instead, I think that's okay. But for me, it's Coronado, Huberdeau, Frost I like best in this game. Maybe someone else from Nashville. That's about it.
Vancouver Canucks with a 2.5 total heading into Colorado. The Avs have a 4 total. Valeri Nichushkin back in for Colorado. The coach said that all players who missed practice yesterday are also good to go, which means McKinnon is good to go. He missed with an illness. Colorado going McKinnon, Netchus, Lehkonen. I would imagine Nichushkin either slots in with Nelson and Landeskog pushing Colton down, or he'll just play with Olofsson and Drury on the third line. He practiced on power play too, so it's really not super important. Vancouver are playing a bunch of guys. I'm out on Vancouver.
Yeah, they did. I think they moved Jonathan Lekkerimäki is going to be on the top line with Pettersson and Kane, and then they moved DeBrus down to the third line with Max Sasson. It's just,
Kampf is with Sherwood and Garland. Yes, McKinnon is in. This game is, Colorado won's the best line on the board. It's a really good matchup, both at 5-on-5 and on the power play. It's just a matter if you want to spend $23,600. It's basically it. If you want to just make it a power play stack, that will get increasingly difficult now that Landeskog's up to 5K. Makar's 8,500 here. So I don't even know if it's possible to full power play stack with McKinnon at 10K. But I would do some sort of just Colorado 1, Colorado power play. And it's just a matter if you want to spend it or not. And that is up to you. I haven't decided what I'm doing yet. I'm going to try to explore avenues, building with Colorado, building without them, see where I land. So they're the best play on the board. Just a matter if you want to spend it or not.
Yeah. The interesting thing about the Avs is there are depth lines you can go to, right? But even the second line, like you said, with Landeskog being priced up so much, that second line is $15K. So it's not like they're super cheap. So I guess if you did want to go to a cheap Colorado line, it's probably going to be the third line, Olofsson, Colton and Jack Drury, 11,400. It's one of those. It's just because it's one of those games where if it gets if Colorado gets up 3-0 in the first period or something like that, maybe they just start giving their depth guys more ice time, especially with if some guys are playing with some sort of illness or whatever, and you want to give them a bit more of a rest than they otherwise would have. Like the other day, Montreal got their ass beat by Colorado 7-2. Nathan McKinnon played under 15 minutes, right? So this is one of those and Jack Drury played 17 and a half. This is one of those matchups where I think you can play the third line as a filler stack if you want to play Colorado and not play the big, because you can't even power play stack Colorado. You can't play the 5 power play guys. They're just all too expensive. So you have to make some cuts somewhere. Obviously, Nathan McKinnon one-off is perfectly fine. The there are the reasons why this is such a good matchup. I mean, the Vancouver penalty kill, really, really bad over the last 5 weeks. Third most goals against per minute on the PK. On the season, the Vancouver Canucks are the only team averaging at least 1 power play goal against per game. The 5-on-5 numbers are bad. It's just a really, really good matchup. It's just a matter of what you want to do with Colorado. For me, it's one of those I probably just play the top line and then punt one of the defensemen, Malinsky, Taves, something like that. Or I use the third line as a filler and hope, I can get 1 or 2 goals from them as they get some more ice time. I would honestly probably lean more towards using the filler guys, just because I do worry about ice time for the top guys, especially, if they're sick and they get out to an early lead, all of a sudden you're staring down at 14 or 15 minutes of Nathan McKinnon ice time. He can still smash. I think he had a goal and 2 assists in those 15 minutes the other day. It is what it is. But I honestly don't mind Colorado 3 of Olofsson, Drury, and Ross Colton here. But yeah, Colorado top line's the best play on the board. It's just a matter if you want to pay up $22,600 for them.
Vancouver Canucks, just kidding. Minnesota Wild with a 2.8 total heading into Edmonton. Whatever that team is doing up there has a 3.3 total. Edmonton going McDavid, Hyman, Savoie, Draisaitl, Podkolzin, Mangiapane. Minnesota going Kaprizov, Zook, Hartman because Urov is out. Boldy, Eriksson, Ek, Johansson. Chalk Edmonton 2 with only Draisaitl on the power play. They're coming in at 15.5% projected because they're 13,500. It's I don't really want to do that. Don't really want to do any of that. They've been fine in a small sample, but they might be facing the hottest goaltender in the league. And if I'm going to play the Oilers here tonight, it's going to be some sort of power play stack because Minnesota's penalty kill is really bad. So I would go to the top line here. McDavid, Hyman, Savoie at 18K, 4.6% projected. You want to leave off Savoie and make it a super expensive power play stack. Adding in Draisaitl would make that 23,100. And it's just like, do I really want to play the Oilers here at 23,100, or do I want to play the Avs here at 23,600? I think it's the Avs, but I think if I was going to full stack a line for Edmonton, it would be Edmonton 1. But I don't really want to stack a line without Draisaitl, so maybe you do some sort of power play stack with Draisaitl, McDavid, and then Nugent Hopkins or something to make it. But it's just like, do I really want to force in an Edmonton power play stack? Like, not really. I don't like the ownership on the Draisaitl line. I think the ownership on the McDavid line is fine. So I just leave Savoie there and hope for the best. Basically, what I'm saying is I don't have a ton of interest in Edmonton in single entry. It would be an MME type deal, and you can mix and match and get comfortable with what you want to do there. On the Minnesota side, like, I don't mind Hartman on the top line at 17,700 with Zook and Kaprizov. These Edmonton lines have not been great. Stu Skinner has an 885 on the season.
I didn't even know it was that high.
I mean, it came up to 885. Edmonton generally has a good penalty kill, except for the goaltending right now. So I'm fine with leaving Hartman there. If you want to make it a power play stack, you can add in Eriksson Ek. Makes it 19,700. I think it's a decent pivot off Tampa. I'd still rather play Tampa, but I don't mind a Minnesota power play stack here, although they've been very Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde on the season on the power play. So I think it would be Minnesota 1. Edmonton's fine. I just, for the price, if I'm going to do some sort of power play stack, I'm just going to go play Colorado.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am with Edmonton as well. Is one, like, we've talked all season about how they're not drawing penalties, and it's getting worse. Their last 16 games, which is 20% of the season, 2.1 power play opportunities per game. The only team worse is actually the Rangers. So even though the power play itself has been great, their power play goals per game is basically the middle of the league because they're not drawing any power plays. And Minnesota's penalty kill is one area that's really improved as the season's gone on. I was looking at their last 5 weeks on the penalty kill by shot attempts against, 8th in the league on the PK, by shots against per 60, 4th in the league on the PK, top 5 by goals against per 60. So not only has the Minnesota penalty kill been getting a lot better since, the travesty that was the first couple weeks of the season, Edmonton's not drawing any power plays. So it's like, yes, they can get there at 5-on-5, but, Draisaitl's coming in with a ton of ownership. McDavid's coming in at 5%, which is definitely what you want to see. But you talk about Colorado and how you can get them at, high price players in a better matchup. I'm thinking of Tampa Bay. Kucherov, 9% ownership. Hagel, 9% ownership. Cirelli, 5% ownership. Bjorkstrand, 3% ownership. Like, those guys are all in the single digits somewhere, and also in a much better matchup than Edmonton is here tonight. So I'm kind of out on the Oilers, which is always a terrifying proposition, but I'm kind of out on the Oilers. For me, this game is the Minnesota top line. You mentioned Stuart Skinner. He's not doing so hot basically all season. The Edmonton penalty kill actually hasn't been that bad, but a lot of it actually has been, whether you want to say good, perhaps lucky goaltending on the PK. 877 save percentage, better than the league average, considering how that their goaltenders have played this season. I tend to lean it's a little bit lucky. Their penalty killing metrics have been fairly bad. Kaprizov, Zuccarello, Hartman, 17,700, 2% ownership. Going back to last season, Kaprizov and Hartman on the ice together, 105 minutes at 5-on-5, 69 shot attempts, 34 shots, 2.9 expected goals per 60. Not a bad matchup against the Oilers here. I like Minnesota 1 best in this game. I think Minnesota 2 is playable, but at 17,700 for a Kaprizov line at 2% shooting against the Edmonton Oilers goaltending, I don't mind. I don't mind Minnesota 1 here.
Chicago Blackhawks at the 2.5 total. Heading into Sin City, the Golden Knights have a 3.9. Highest total on the board if you exclude Colorado. Vegas going Eichel, Barbashev, Bowman, Hurdle, Dorofeyev, and I think it's Saad. Yeah. And then Howden, Marner, Stone. Looks like Carter Hart is back and starting tonight. He was pretty bad in the AHL in his conditioning stint, but, the Vegas goaltenders have left a lot to be desired, the healthy ones anyway. Chicago going Bedard, Burakovsky, Green. They're going to go – they went 11-7 the other night. Maybe they go 11-7 again. But Bertuzzi, Nazar, Teravainen. This is just a brutal matchup for Chicago. Bedard's on a heater, but he's 8,400. And that's just a really tough price to play Bedard on the road in Vegas. So, I hate to say it, I'm probably out on Chicago. Definitely in single entry. In MME, if you're making 20, maybe I'd have a one-off Bedard or some kind of Chicago stack. But it's not even a good power play matchup because Vegas just doesn't take any penalties. So generally I'm out on Chicago here, but I understand if you want to get Bedard one-off in here because he's been on an absolute tear. But really, I'm out on Chicago. The question is, what the hell do you do with Vegas here? Because Eichel, Barbashev, Bowman, they're coming in at 9%. You only get Eichel on the top power play. The second line with Marner, Stone, and Howden, you would have to play Brett Howden. Then you get Hurdle, Dorofeyev, Saad. I think that is probably where I'd go, but they're coming in at almost 13%. So and then if I want a power play stack, the two guys I'd want to prioritize are Eichel and Stone. So then at that point, it's I might as well just full power play stack. And that's fine. I did it the other night. It wasn't a 10-game slate though. And putting 5 forwards on a power play in your single entry, you're kind of putting a lot of eggs in one basket. But, they do have a 3.9. The issue is you're going across 3 lines. If I had to play a line, honestly, it'd be Howden, Marner, Stone. And maybe I'd just leave Howden off and add in Eichel. And that's probably what I would do. But I think for me, if I'm playing Vegas, I'm just full sending a power play stack, honestly.
Yeah, out on Chicago, Bedard is super expensive. You mentioned Vegas not taking penalties, 2.3 times shorthanded over the last 5 weeks. It is the 3rd lowest rate in the NHL. They have the 4th lowest rate overall on the season. So not really much opportunity for Chicago to do damage on the power play. So out on the Blackhawks, especially in single entry, I think I kind of agree with just full sending on a power play stack here. Thing is as good as the Vegas power play has been, especially with Stone healthy and in the lineup, the Chicago penalty kill has been really good. On the season, the Chicago PK is 5th by penalty killing percentage. If you look over the last 5 weeks, expected goals against per 60 on the PK, top 10 in the league, shot attempts against, top 5 in the league, goals against, top 5 in the league. They've had a really, really good penalty kill. One thing I'm not doing in single entry is just playing one of the 5-on-5 lines. I'm not playing Hurdle, Dorofeyev, and Saad, and then leaving off Mitch Marner and Jack Eichel and Mark Stone. It just seems kind of foolhardy to me. So that's why I would full send on a power play stack. It's fairly doable too. If you put in a relatively cheap goalie, you got about 3,500 per player left for your two defensemen and your utility. So like, it's not like you're completely dumpster diving as if you were like with some Colorado stacks or Tampa Bay stacks or Edmonton stacks at times. So I don't mind a full send on the Vegas power play here. I guess if I were to play any of the even strength lines, it would probably just be Eichel, Barbashev, and Bowman. I know Eichel's the only one on the power play, but like I said, it's not really a great power play spot for them. But if I'm playing Vegas here, I'm just going all in on the power play. Hopefully they can get one, and then, whatever those guys get at 5-on-5, they get at 5-on-5. But with three fairly balanced lines and 1 to 2 players on each line on the top power play unit, just picking one in a single entry just feels like asking for 0% return on your entry. So I would just full send a power play stack on Vegas and hope that the goals land on the right guys.
Yeah, it's like trying to figure out Seattle Kraken if they were actually good.
Pretty much.
Yeah. But they aren't. And they're not on this slate. So there's at least positive news there. Washington Capitals with a 2.7 total heading into LA. The Kings have a 2.8. Washington going Ovechkin, Strome, Beauvillier, Wilson, Protas, Sordif, McMichael, Leonard, Duhaime. LA mixing up their lines in power play. They're going Kempe, Kopitar, Moore, Fiala, Byfield, Armia. The big news for LA is they're putting Brant Clark on the top power play. Now, this ends badly in two different ways. Either they are awful and he gets like sent to like ECHL, or they are really, really good. And then Doughty comes back and they kick him off the top power play unit. Like there's no good ending for this, but you have to hope for the best while he's there at 4K. This is a good power play matchup for LA. I'd probably go to the top line of Kopitar, Kempe, Moore at 14-7. Like if you want to go to Byfield, Fiala, Armia, I think that's fine, but it is Logan Thompson. He has picked it back up. So I want to get the line with more power play correlation in the better 5-on-5 matchup. It's weird to say I want to avoid a Justin Sordif line, but I want to avoid a Justin Sordif line at 5-on-5. I want to attack Ovechkin, and that's with Kopitar and Kempe. Trevor Moore is cheap enough where he won't kill you. He's been pretty bad this season, but at 14,700, I'll take the chance on LA1. I'm not doing it in single entry. This is a MME type play. Brant Clark, different story. We'll get to defenseman next. But LA1 MME type deal. It's kind of the same deal for Washington. This is a brutal 5-on-5 matchup. Also, the Kings have stopped taking a ton of penalties like they were in the beginning of the season. So it's not really a great power play matchup either. I guess I don't really know. I'd probably just go to the Sordif line. That line has been nasty at 13,300. You could do worse for 13,300 here tonight. So I don't mind them if you're doing a lot, you're way over the field on Tampa or something like that, and you want to get a little bit different with your filler. I think it would be Sordif, Protas, and Wilson. I think a two-man McMichael Leonard I think is fine, but really this game is MME for me.
Yeah. On the Washington side, it would probably be that Wilson, Protas, Sordif line, as you mentioned. They've been really good together. 75 shot attempts, 4.2 expected goals. They're up over 100 minutes together at 5-on-5 now. And, you only get Wilson on the top power play, but this is not a good power play spot. I was looking earlier. The Kings took 42 penalties in their first 10 games or something like that, and they've only taken 35 in their last 15. They've gotten much more disciplined since the first couple of weeks of the season. Remember, I think there's one game they gave up 11 power plays to Ottawa, the second week of the season or whatever it was. They're not that team anymore. So it's not a good power play matchup for Washington. So I don't really care about the power play correlation. And that Washington 2 line at 13,300 is nearly filler status. And they've been really, really good at 5-on-5. So I don't mind playing them. I can tell you right now, I'm not playing Washington. in single entry here tonight. It's just not a good matchup, both either 5-on-5 or on the power play. So it's just not a spot that I'm gravitating towards. But I think if I were to play anything, it would be Washington too. I do have more interest in the Los Angeles side. Like, I do think they have two playable lines here, virtually the same price. I was looking at Kopitar and Kempe's numbers when they have anybody but Andrei Kuzmenko on the line. 55 shot attempts, 2.0 expected goals, 4 per 60 at 5-on-5. It is not good. Can Trevor Moore buck that trend? I have my doubts. So, I think they're playable. I think both the top two Kings lines are playable here. I'm probably going to go to Fiala, Byfield, and Armia. At the very least, they're at 2.5 expected goals per 60 with Armia on that line, which is a little bit above league average, which is something the Kopitar line can't say. And, they get, Byfield and Armia, or Byfield and Fiala, rather, get quite a bit of ice time. 14,500 is a little it feels weird to say, but it feels a little expensive, but it's a very good power play matchup. The Caps 3.2 times shorthanded per game over the last 5 weeks. One of the 10 worst marks in the league. Over the last 5 weeks, the Washington Capitals penalty kill, 10 expected goals against per 60, bottom, one of the worst marks in the league. Their goals against per 60, sixth worst in the league on the penalty kill. So it's a good power play matchup. Hopefully Brant Clark can get something done for them. I don't mind Fiala, Byfield, Armia, but I do think the Kings have two playable lines. And Washington 2 is in play, but I agree with you. It's more MME for me.
Yep. Let's talk about defensemen here. Top of the board, Cale Makar, Quinn Hughes, Jacob Chychrun, Roman Josi, Evan Bouchard, Moritz Seider, Jake Sanderson. So, okay, I was looking at Cale Makar's game log. There was 2 blowouts in the last 3 games. He played 20 minutes in that Sharks game, and he played 21 and change in that Montreal game in a 7-2 win and a 6-0 win. So even if Colorado blows out Vancouver here, he's still going to get 20 minutes. Outside of those 2 games, he's never been under 23 minutes on the season. So it's just like, Cale Makar in a league of his own here. Like, obviously I like Quinn Hughes, but this is just a terrible matchup for him. This top board, really, I think I'm going to go Makar 1, Sanderson 2, and then Mo Seider 3.
Yeah, I agree. And if you look at the point projections, Makar is number 1 by a very comfortable margin over Evan Bouchard. But the best point per dollar value of the guys 6K and above is Jake Sanderson. So I agree with you on Makar and Sanderson. 1 and 2. I will shout out Roman Josi. I'm not super into playing Nashville, but like we said, it should be a good power play matchup for them. Whether they can actually generate anything on the power play remains to be seen. But I think if I'm paying over 6K, I'm either plugging in Jake Sanderson against the Habs. If I have the space, I don't mind playing Cale Makar. Those are the 2 guys I'm targeting. Mid-price range, Matthew Schaefer he's not quite in I'll play him no matter what territory, but feels like he's pretty close to I'll play him no matter what territory. Matthew Schaefer, 5,500. Rasmus Anderson running the power play for Calgary, I think, is in play. Miro Heiskanen, it's we know how much ice time those guys had been getting. Thomas Harley out, Nils Lundqvist out, et cetera, et cetera. Heiskanen, his last 5 games, 3 of them have been at least 27 minutes. The 2 that he didn't play 27 minutes, it's like Makar. He played 23 minutes in an 8-3 win, and he played 25 minutes in a 6-1 win against that 6-1 game against Ottawa. Otherwise, he's playing 27 to 32 minutes a night. And with Michelle out, how much is Heiskanen going to have to play tonight? So I do like Heiskanen. Darren Radish, certainly, if you're playing Tampa stacks. Seth Jones, it's a great matchup at home against Toronto. Mackenzie Weegar, I never stack the Flames because of their power play. For power play correlation, Mackenzie Weegar, very good for a combo meal. Under 4K, Noah Hannafin at home for Vegas, certainly. Essa Lindell, it's kind of like Miro Heiskanen without power play time, just getting a ton of minutes. Devin Taves, if you don't want to pay up for Makar, I think paying under 4K for Taves is perfectly fine. Gustav Forsling in a very good matchup at home against Toronto. Under 3K, Sam Malinsky, like if it is a blowout, maybe he does get decent minutes here tonight. Don't mind Malinsky. Alex Carrier, I don't know why he's consistently under 3K. I'll keep playing him as long as he's under 3K for Montreal. Nikita Zadorov getting good minutes without Charlie McAvoy. He's under 3K, and I'll shout out Braden McNabb as well. As long as he's under 3K, he's playable.
Yes, Brant Clark.
Yeah, Brant Clark. Jesus. My mistake.
We talked about him, and then, let's talk about those alien creatures in between the pipes. The top range, I think for me, it would be Wedgwood or Vasilevsky, assuming Vasilevsky is confirmed. Like Vasilevsky has been an excellent goalie all season. Wedgwood, has shutout equity here, big win equity. He's more of a cash game goalie for me. Like Carter Hart, welcome back to the NHL, 8,500. No, thank you. It's not like he was elite when he was playing a few years ago. In the mid-range, like also I'll shout out Casey DeSmith at 7,900. It's just like there might be shot volume concerns there, but like who's moving the puck for the Rangers? UC Saros 7,800. I'll play any goalie against Nashville with a helmet on. Same with Devin Cooley. He's been very good, even though he was terrible last season. I think Logan Thompson, very playable here at 7,500 against LA. I guess Igor is fine, but I also have shot volume concerns about Dallas. So, probably not. Jeremy Swayman is the cheap guy at 7,100. I think Joe Woll is fine, but like Swayman's $100 cheaper. So I'd probably go to Swayman. If you really, really need it, Spencer Knight, 6,900, just from a shot volume standpoint. I probably wouldn't go lower than Swayman, though.
Yeah. The highest point per dollar goes to UC Saros here tonight. At home against Calgary for 7,800. He's not confirmed, but Nashville doesn't play tomorrow. I can't imagine he won't.
They never confirm goalies anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So Saros is at the top of the board for me. The highest projected goalie is Scott Wedgwood for Colorado. So if you have 8,400, don't mind paying up for him. As you mentioned, I think Casey DeSmith is fine at 7,900, but where Saros is $100 cheaper, I'd probably, even without Fox in the lineup for the Rangers, I would probably rather play Saros at home against Calgary than DeSmith on the road against the Rangers. Although Madison Square Garden's been a house of horrors for the Rangers this year. So
everywhere is a house of horrors for the Rangers.
That's a good point. For cheaper goalies, like Devin Cooley on the other side, if you don't want to play Saros, it's like Devin Cooley's fine. Like those might be two of the 5 best options in net here tonight. Or two guys facing off against each other. Logan Thompson on the road in Los Angeles, I think at 7,500 makes a ton of sense. If you want to risk it, Jesper Wallstedt, 7,400 going into Edmonton. It's not like Edmonton's been a very good scoring team. Jeremy Swayman, 7,100 for Boston. It's like with that lineup, if the Bruins win, it's probably because Swayman has a pretty good game. So I think if I need a super cheap goalie, it's Swayman.
Yep. I believe tomorrow's a 5-game slate. So we will be back. Frostback's playing Patera for the free 0. You know what's going to happen if you play Patera. Lankinen's going to get pulled in the first period, and then Patera's going to give up 4 goals on 9 shots.
True.
So, we'll be back tomorrow. Who you liking for your hat trick pick?
You know what? Screw it. Steven Stamkos.
My God. I am pulling the clip from you absolutely power bombing me through a table on Saturday and plugging it in with this one. But I am going with the Beans, Shane Pinto.
Okay. Picking against my Habs. I get it.
Yeah. Against your Habs. Although Montembeau has looked a little bit better of late. But, we'll be back tomorrow. Good luck, everybody, tonight. And we'll see you in the Discord.
Good luck tonight, everyone.